I'm Kelsey from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com, and today we are going to be making a really simple paw balm for your dogs. So this winter, it is so nasty cold right now. I think it's -35 outside. It's been this way for almost 2 weeks, and our poor pup, Sunny, her paws are really taking a beating. So you can tell your dog might need a little bit of help with their paws if you look and they are a little bit cracked or they're broken, or if they're paying a lot of special attention to their paws and licking them, they might need a little bit of moisturizer and a little bit of protection on those paw pads. So the recipe that I've come up with is one that uses all perfectly dog-safe ingredients. So any of this stuff, if your dogs decide to lick it off their paws, it's not going to make them sick. It's also made with ingredients that are perfectly safe for their dogs externally on their skin. Tempting as it may be just to use some of your own lotion or something like that on your pet's paws, it's really important that you don't. They're completely different species after all, and so they have different sensitivities to essential oils, to scents, to just other oils and ingredients that can either be dangerous externally on their skin, or it can make them sick if they lick it off their paws and ingest it. So this is all perfectly safe, the ingredients that we're using. I purposely am not using any sort of essential oils or any sort of scent in here. Essential oils definitely have some benefits and can help with cracked skin and that sort of a thing, but in this situation, I have one dog that has a sensitivity to something and another dog that doesn't, just like people. And there are some oils, of course, like tea tree oil, they're just not safe for dogs ever. So it's better just to have a blend of oils and butters and things here that are going to be safe and have as little scent as possible. With this recipe, I've used it on my dog several times. It definitely seems to be helping her feet, and so far she hasn't been tempted to lick it off at all. So let's talk through some of the ingredients for our recipe. So one of the first things that we have here is beeswax. When I, again, am making a recipe that is something that I'm not using on my own body, that I don't really care if it has that beeswax scent, to just use some of these beeswax pellets work perfectly fine. And the reason why we use beeswax is that it helps create a protective coating over your pet's paws, and it also will help to seal in that moisture that we're adding from some of our other ingredients. Next up, we have lanolin in here, and lanolin actually comes from sheep's wool. If you've ever felt the wool of a sheep with your bare hands, you feel kind of oily afterwards, so it's something that they naturally produce in their wool. It is to create a waterproof coating on their wool, and it also has antibacterial properties that help keep their skin clean. Next, we have some vitamin E oil. This works really well as a preservative in any sort of body butters or things that you might be making for yourself or for your pets. And it also is really nourishing for the skin. So we just use a little bit of this in the end of the recipe. We also are using a little bit of oat flour. Oats are used in all sorts of skincare recipes for people. It has a lot of great benefits in terms of toning and moisturizing the skin, and it also helps if you have irritation or inflammation. And on top of that, it also has properties where it helps to balance the bacteria. So sometimes pets can get itchy paws as well in the winter just because of like a yeast buildup and that sort of a thing. So the oats really help with that as well. We also will be adding coconut oil to the recipe as well. Make sure that you get the refined coconut oil so that way it doesn't have a scent that's going to be tempting for your pup to lick at. Then we also have shea butter, and shea butter is just a super moisturizer. Again, it also helps with inflammation that might be happening in those paws from being out in the cold and on those hard surfaces. And so shea butter really helps to just condition and put a really good moisture on your pet's paws. And the last ingredient that we are going to be adding is olive oil. I really recommend, if you're able to make this recipe in a double boiler. You can either make your own double boiler, or here I have one where this pot's just going to sit inside another one that you put water in, so it'll slowly heat your ingredients so you don't have to worry about scorching. You can make this as well in the microwave, but just keep an eye on your beeswax pellets to make sure that they don't catch fire, because they can be a little more flammable. So you should be safe doing it in the microwave. I don't mean to scare you away from it, but just make sure you're keeping an eye on it. Don't put it in there for 5 minutes and walk away or something like that. First ingredient we're going to add is a tablespoon of beeswax pellets. Next, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of lanolin. Next, I'm going to add in 1/4 of a cup of olive oil. Next, I'm adding in 1/4 of a cup of coconut oil. And again, it's important when you're using the coconut oil to get the refined coconut oil, because it isn't going to have that strong coconut sort of scent. So we're really trying to make sure that we take off any sort of sweet smelling things that are going to encourage our dogs to lick their paws. And then last for this step, we are going to put in 1/4 of a cup of shea butter. Here we have all of our combined oils in a double boiler, and we're just going to let these melt down on the stove. Once all the oils have melted, we're going to add in oat flour and our vitamin E oil. So 1 tablespoon of oat flour. Stir that in really well. Even better if you have a whisk on hand to really break up all the clumps. And then we're going to put in just about a teaspoon of vitamin E oil and stir that in thoroughly as well. Once all the ingredients are thoroughly incorporated, you can pour it into a jar. I'm using here a pint jar. This recipe will fill this just over half full. And now we just leave this to cool. To place this on your dog's paws, make sure you find a time when they are relaxed and preferably towards the end of the evening. There are some oils in this, and so you want to make sure that it's really rubbed into your dog's paws, that they're not going to be laying on your favorite blanket or something like that, because those oils can transfer from their paws onto surfaces. So just make sure, again, you rub it in really well and put it in when your dog is just going to be relaxing and not running around the house. You'll notice on your dog's paws that their skin is kind of in layers, almost like fish scales on their paws. So make sure when you are rubbing it in that you go kind of with the grain of their skin, because you don't want to rub backwards up on their paws, because that's not going to feel very good for them. So just rub it into each of the pads on their feet, and then they should be good to go. So here is our finished product. Technically it's more of an ointment than a balm, sort of the same consistency as like a petroleum jelly, but it goes on really smooth, really easy, and it should do wonders for your pup's paws. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you try this and if it works well for your dog, or if you have any other recipes that you use for your dog, let me know as well. We really appreciate it. If you like, share, subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. You can always find a new video here every single week and 2 posts over at the blog about farming, family food, and fortitude here at our Rough and Tumble farmhouse.